I asked when I first moved here to my in-laws, where do you keep your flannels? Because I need to wash myself in the shower. And I think they understood it to mean that I wanted some kind of buttoned shirt to scrub my body with. I was sitting next to an American on the plane, and it was the first time I'd ever been in the company of an American. She smelled pretty weird, but I was a kid, I didn't understand how different perfumes worked. I just thought Americans had their own separate smell from British people. I've come to find that is actually true, but it wasn't that specific smell. You all just smell of corn and cinnamon, so that's a lie. You'd like to be able to have a plan in place, but I've never had a plan, and if I have, it's always a bad one.
When I'm not cycling to work, I often find myself riding one of these, surrounded by a dozen strangers, all with the same degree of silence emanating from their mouths. It's like a library on the morning commute, except this library moves at 40 miles per hour and nobody, except that girl in the glasses over there, has any books. She's reading Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, because everybody is right now, and next to her is a man in his early 20s wearing a Cubs baseball cap. He's holding onto the railing extra tightly so as to not lose his balance and fall like an idiot into the girl with the book. We're all doing that, because that's riding Chicago's L train in a nutshell.
Really looking forward to going in. Go see some plant life. Hopefully none of it's illegal, because we're in the state of Wisconsin where you can't get that kind of stuff, except on the black market apparently. Not my kind of thing.
And then there's the question of how I moved here. Well, I didn't swim on this occasion. We did get the plane, as I said, Air Canada it was, and great service. TVs on the back of the chairs, you know, just as you'd want, and they brought alcohol round, I think, and what more do you need in life, never mind on a plane? Yeah.
Every Chicagoan that I've interacted with has been really, really nice. And the reason that's surprising, of course, is because I'm British, and I just thought every Chicagoan was a lot like Al Capone and killed everybody and then died of syphilis. But the point is, people are nice here. They're nothing like Kevin Bacon in Planes, Trains and Automobiles. You know, they're nothing like that lawyer in Planes, Trains and Automobiles who tries to steal Steve Martin's taxi and then has him pay for that taxi only for John Candy to steal it away from him. It's not Thanksgiving yet. Can't believe I'm breaking out the Planes, Trains and Automobiles references. It's trains, planes and automobiles, isn't it? It just doesn't matter, does it?
I think without internet access, I might just go and have fun in the woods. Not in that way, that's arrestable offence. I might just go and look for grizzly bears. They don't have those here, actually. They have black bears. So maybe that is on the agenda for today. You know, I'm good until 2021, which means that you at least get these videos from America until then.
My parents turned up and two of us cried. I'm not going to say which two, although using the word us suggests I was one of them. And my mum. Oh, I said it.
And once you live here, you're not electronically tagged or anything like that. You're not a prisoner to the state. You know, you go about your business as you wish, as long as you're not doing your business in a public park. That's where I am right now. Go for a pee by that tree. But I'd be arrested, probably, for indecency and then deported. So you have to be careful. You can't go breaking the law. How did I go the whole time, growing up, not knowing that Chicago has a beach, much less one that is, in fact, 15 minutes from my apartment? How lucky am I? Thank you, universe. However, today I've been slightly less lucky because I had a child throw sand, wet sand, at my face. That child has been dealt with severely, not by me. I'm not condoning child-based violence. But on this case, it was justified.
One night, when I was really in pain because I had terrible sunburn, I was sitting in the back of what was a Buick Skylark, a car we rented, a blue one, and I watched a rocket take off, and it was just amazing. I thought that's the sort of thing you only see on television. I saw it with my own eyes, and then they disappeared, went into space, and never came back, I heard. It's a tragedy.
Is that a lie?
It is a lie. I just wanted to make it more exciting than it was.
It's basically what I do every Saturday night. It's Thursday night, but...
Thursday.
Shh. Got money coming out of my bank account as we speak. It's bad. If a pro is the opposite of a con, what's the opposite of progress? It's Congress, to anybody not paying attention.
I got to see for the very first time with my own eyes the Statue of Liberty, who we did say in the last video, or a couple of videos ago, is much smaller than she appears, but she does have a big heart, so that more than makes up for it, right? She also has a giant book and a torch, so I wouldn't fancy my chances in a fight. So, not that I would start a fight with the symbol of freedom. But yeah, I mean, I touched on this in a previous video, you know, it was this sort of aha moment. I was suddenly there, this place that I'd seen in films 100 million times. That's no exaggeration, it's a slight exaggeration, but I'd seen it many a time and never actually thought with my own eyes I'd be touching Lady Liberty. I just realised I didn't touch her with my eyes. She touched me with hers, but that's another story. I was married at the time, plus I don't find statues vaguely attractive in the least. Maybe some. Maybe the Lincoln one here, especially without the beard. Hello, what are you doing there? You look very cold. Well, that's because it's winter and you're in Chicago, or you might not be actually. This video is mainly addressed to people that are, or that are visiting Chicago. So if you're not in Chicago, this might not be relevant to you. But if you aren't, you should come visit anyway, and then this will be relevant. I'll shut up now. You know, it was like being in Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. And now, where I live, it's like being in Home Alone 1.
I had turned to my wife and said, "You know what, wife? That's a pet name. She's not my servant, or so she thinks."
I think we left leaving, believing that we may well move there one day. This is back when we were young and foolish and thought that we were going to become Broadway sensations by the time we were 30, 35 now, so that didn't happen. So I'm in Chicago, you know, the second city, which is actually now the third city. Population of Los Angeles has overtaken it.
Basically, you just need to wrap up warm, and my advice is start with the head and work your way down. That sounded really dirty. Wasn't intentional.
I feel like Chicago has this sort of manageable nature to it. I don't know, I get the sense that it is a bit dog-eat-dog world out there, and I'm an old dog with frail legs and poor teeth. But in Chicago, they happily let me in because they know that I am not a threat to them, and I think they like that. They can pat me on the head and say, "I'm not a dog. I am not a dog, despite everything I just said."
Most of us actually live out here in the suburbs or the neighborhoods. In fact, because of that, it's a little less like iRobot and more like American Beauty. I meant in terms of the setting. There's no creepy cameramen around here filming people, except me.
It's mental how cold it gets here, but thankfully there are some ways around that. One of which is to never go outside, mainly that actually. Just stay indoors and crank the heating up and you'll be fine. Thankfully my flat has heating under the floor, so when you take your shoes off, your feet burn, but actually they get warm as well, which is nice.
So another fact about Chicago, and this may be in fact just true of the wider world these days, is everybody here is way younger than me, and I feel both old because of that fact and young at the same time. I did have some video evidence to prove this, but that evidence was confiscated by the police for being indecent. Small-minded, really. Of course, that's mainly true for me because I haven't lived in a major city in 8 years, and 8 years ago I was young like them and pretty. Just young, mainly young.
Now I do realise what this looks like, and I apologise if you're terrified right now, but this is the face mask that my wife bought me. She thought it would be trendy. I was actually nearly deported. But I have to assure you, it does keep you warm, especially when you're a cyclist like me. So there's the good old Union Jack. And in fact, if you are a cyclist, that takes care of the head problem that you might have. But so does the crazy face mask that makes you look like you're part of ISIS.
And this month, I myself became the first British person to visit the state since, well, actually that claim cannot be independently verified.
But if you're adventurous and you want to get out there and see the world like some crazy person, then you're going to have to wrap up warm. Okay, this is Chicago. You're not in the Algarve anymore. You probably never were, unless you were there visiting.
This time, the wife and I didn't take a train, we walked to Milwaukee. I'm kidding, we took Megabus.
So after a long train journey, we made it here into West Virginia. And one of the first things you notice as you're entering the state is that there are trees everywhere. Look at this, really high up. It's like being in the Amazon, just without that climate and without those kind of trees. It's actually nothing like the Amazon. I look forward to coming up this year, and I might even get naked there and jump in Lake Michigan and be arrested for indecency.
We're about as high up as you can get, I think, in West Virginia. I can't really show you the downward view because there are hundreds and thousands of trees in the way.
Going to the bar and getting utterly pissed. That's British for drunk, not angry. Although sometimes I would do both, pissed and angry, at the same time and get thrown into jail. That never happened. So let's take the Statue of Liberty, for example. You know, firstly, I will say this. She's a lot smaller than she looks in the films. A lot shorter. She's like Kylie Minogue, who on stage looks like she's 5'7" when she's actually 4'10". You know.